Welcome back. On the bench tonight, on my immediate right is Professor Kivutha Kibwana, the pioneer governor, the county of Makueni, and Professor of Law at Daystar University. Prof, thanks for making time for the broadcast.
Asante.
And happy Katiba Day.
Good Katiba Day.
Dr. Ekuru Kot is the former Chief Executive Officer of the Committee of Experts and the political party leader of Third Way Alliance Party of Kenya. Thank you for making time, Dr.
Thanks, Ayub.
Charles Nyachai formerly chaired the Constitutional Implementation Committee. And Charles, it's lovely having you here on the broadcast.
Thank you for...
Many thanks, gentlemen,
thank
for your company here on the bench. First, beginning with you, Prof, what do you make of today's commemoration following the presidential proclamation?
Well, I was just thinking, first of all, it was a very sudden decision because one didn't quite expect it. But there is also a positivity about it because it means that the president has given a signal that the constitution is important to the public. And therefore, this is something that going forward, people can use to build on the momentum of agitating for the implementation of the constitution. But of course, from the political angle, sometimes things are said so that people can be happy about them. And it's my expectation, it's my hope that this is a signal that the president realizes, accepts that we must implement the constitution. It's our lifeline in this country.
Yeah. Dr. Ekuru, should it have been a Katiba holiday?
Well, I think it's very important that we remember the journey of constitution making because I think the idea of celebrating the constitution, the anniversary of the constitution, is also an acknowledgement that let's talk about the aspiration of the people of Kenya. How are we implementing the constitution? Remember, the constitution is actually a living document, and we must breathe life to it. So I think the fact that the president even decided to call this Katiba Day, but I hope it's about also a reflection on how have we respected the constitution, how have we, implemented this constitution. And I hope, maybe in the days to come, it can also tell us, for example, the extent to which the government of the Republic of Kenya has respected the Bill of Rights, chapter 4. If you look at, for example, the recent Gen Z demonstrations, they were invoking Article 37 of the Constitution of Kenya, the right to demonstrate, to picket, and all that. But it's the same government that actually went ahead to disrupt that and to even order, to give orders of shoot to kill or to maim, as the president said. So, and I was just hoping that today we can begin to talk about accountability on what really transpired when Kenyans invoked Article 37 of the Constitution. Yeah. The Gen Zs who were killed, I think we're talking about 200 of them, 200 of them. I mean, what is Parliament, for example, doing about, the actions of President William Ruto and of Murkomen? Shouldn't William Ruto by now and Murkomen be impeached? So I hope that we are now invoking that spirit and letter of the Constitution. By commemorating it, we are going back to the text of the Constitution and say, okay, what did the people of Kenya actually want? People of Kenya wanted certain things to be done, better governance, accountability. But how has this government, for example, behaved towards the Constitution and the people of Kenya? Remember, it is the President of the Republic of Kenya, when he is being sworn in, who holds the Bible and lifts the Constitution and says, I will protect, uphold, and respect the Constitution. Yeah. But what have been the actions of the government so far, or state operatives? I mean, just a simple example. With over maybe 200 Gen Zs being killed, we have got people occupying independent offices. The Constitution at Chapter 15 actually protects them, gives them independence. Mm-hmm. Today, you have got IPOA that has not even told us who actually, for example, killed Ojwang in police custody, who killed Njoki, Boniface. The other guy was just being shot. So, yes, let's commemorate the Constitution. Yeah. And I hope the president now will go a step further and actually give an account of how the Constitution has been implemented and who have been violating the Constitution. And I really hope that going forward, that if I was to rewrite the Constitution today, one of the things that I will do is actually to criminalize violation of the Constitution, and especially hold the President himself accountable for not respecting the Constitution. And there are many examples we can give them.
And that accountability, much of it is vested in Parliament, which can impeach a sitting president, so we'll discuss.
Yeah, but Ayub, you have a Parliament that is basically an extension.
We'll talk more about that.
Okay.
Yeah, because of course, leaving it, but also the powers invested in it by Katiba.
That's true.
But Charles, if you were to look back at the promulgation date to today, the 15 years, how much of our Constitution has been implemented?
Let me repeat what I said earlier today when I was at another discussion at the Kenya School of Government, where I chair the council. In response to the President declaring today as Katiba Day, we also had a sort of discussion, and I was asked that same question. And my answer is this, that if you ask me to what extent has the Constitution, as I understood what the people of Kenya through the framers intended 15 years ago, I would want to look at it from two channels. The first channel is in terms of implementing the Constitution through laws and regulations to either new laws and regulation or reviewing the existing ones to give them alignment to the Constitution. On that one, I would say that I think we have done fairly well as a nation. Professor is a teacher. On a scale of 0 to 10, I would give us on that one as high as a 7, because I think we did fairly well in terms of the laws. Bearing in mind that in the nature of things, over a period of time, you will look back at laws and say, oh, yeah, this one could be improved like this, and so on and so forth. But in terms of reviewing the laws and putting in laws to implement the Constitution, we've done fairly well. The remaining 3%, why we fall short. I mean, there are areas where even as far as the laws are concerned.
Yeah. Would you be then specific in those 30% areas?
Yes.
30%. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are areas, and I'll just give examples where clearly we have not succeeded. I think the best known example of where we simply haven't succeeded is the expectation of the framers of the Constitution that there will be a law or laws to give effect to the affirmative action gender equality principle. That we have grappled, and right from the time of CIC, we grappled, it went to court, the court gave 5 years, and still, you know, now I'm using we as a nation, were not able to do it. When Chief Justice Emeritus David Maraga recommended to the president that he should dissolve Parliament, I think many Kenyans didn't realize all that the Chief Justice was doing was complying to the letter of the Constitution, which directed him that in the event of Parliament failing to enact, then he will advise the president to dissolve Parliament, and the same provision, you will recall, says the president will dissolve Parliament.
261.
Yes. So the Chief Justice did his bit. The then president, for whatever reason I wouldn't know, did not do his bit. Maybe that will be a discussion for another day. But that's one example. Then there are other laws, like around Parliament and elections. The law relating to election campaign financing, for example, hasn't, is not effected up to today. Many Kenyans have been talking about recalling their members of parliament. We did write a law, much watered down, as one might expect, by parliament, and even what was watered down was largely struck down by the court. By the court. So that's an area where obviously we have fallen short.
Okay.
Those are just a couple of examples of
of course.
Chapter 6.
Yeah.
In fact, Chapter 6, it's good you have mentioned that. Chapter 6, from the very beginning when we were writing the law to give effect to Chapter 6, it was actually dead in water because I retain the view that the principles of the coalition government then, who had
the Grand Coalition government.
Yes, who had midwifed the constitution, and who under which government the process of implementing started. I retain the view that the principles were committed by and large to the constitution.
Okay.
But when it comes to that particular law, I felt that everybody balked. Nobody really wanted to write a law that, in our view, as CIC, was going to reflect what the framers of the Constitution intended. So that one was dead in water from the onset.
Okay. Prof, coming to you, ideally today is supposed to be a day that should be lived all the time, is it? That you have to espouse the culture of constitutionalism. And what do you make of the congregation that gathered at KICC? You were at Ufungamano House. Basically, was it a case of paying lip service?
Well, maybe before directly answering to that question, I just want to touch on something that Charles has said in terms of there was some genius in terms of how the Constitution was framed, so that there was a schedule which stated that you have to legislate on specific aspects of the Constitution within a time frame.
Schedule 5.
Schedule 5.
Yes.
Within, a specific time frame.
The largest time frame being 5 years.
5 years, and if there was something that was not in that, now that was that was a different matter. So that is why for most of the laws, you had to make sure that they were legislated to accord to those time frames. But you see, that's the technical rendition of giving life to the Constitution, because constitutions are broad. They have broad principles most of the time. But now, when it comes to the implementation of the Constitution, as well as those facilitative laws, that is where one would say maybe 30% in terms of implementation, because there is a tendency to implement things that must be implemented. If, for example, there must be elections, there must be a parliament, there must be a judiciary, there must be commissions. But when it comes to, the chapter on human rights, like now saying that we are going to be a human rights state, and we will, like when it said it's a very progressive constitution, like South African constitution, one of the best in the world, then really making sure that there is implementation to tally with that prestige. I think that's really the major shortfall. Yeah. And because historically, particularly the political class, our political class always had a problem with accepting that a constitution guides, how our countries run, and therefore it should be obeyed from independence, 63. When, President Kenyatta says, if there's a lot of conversation about what the constitution should be, let's just accept. And then when we have government, we will change it. And that is what happened.
Which is a bad culture, is it?
Which is extremely bad culture. And that's the question you asked. Yeah. The question of fidelity to the Constitution, the question of, even when you have a written Constitution, now what is the culture that accompanies it? What he was saying, there's the letter, there's the spirit. So that that these rules and the spirit of them must, guide the country. And I think it's unfortunate that we are still at the stage where, we pay lip service, where, we know that this constitution, as I said somewhere else, this constitution is very stubborn. It has, in these 15 years, we have not been, people who have wanted to amend it have found it very difficult to amend it so that, like BBI, like NADCO, so that they can do their thing within it. So what really is necessary is a leadership that commits to implementing the constitution, to helping the country grow a constitutional culture, and hopefully even a national culture towards a nation state. And that's why Professor Okoth Ogendo kept on saying in our continent, many of these constitutions are constitutions without constitutionalism, so that they don't restrict state power. And currently, one can say there are many leaders in our country who believe that the constitution that should guide them is the one-party state constitution, not Constitution 2010.
So the Kanu Constitution, basically.
The Kanu Constitution.
And I think, Ayub, to that point, let me use this metaphor. That, there are no perfect constitutions in the world. In fact, if listeners, viewers can actually go to our website called constitute.org, and you will see about 190-something constitutions from countries in the world. And one of the things that you will agree is that one of the geniuses of Kenya's constitution actually is Chapter 6. The idea that we needed a certain type of leadership, a certain type of character of leaders, that when they occupy a public office, they will live the principles of that constitution. So, for example, if you elect a dog and give a dog a responsibility over that constitution, the constitution will just, the dog will continue barking, but will not live with the principles and values of the constitution. And I think that's when we're talking about assessment of whether our constitution is serving us or not. It's about also the political will to implement the constitution. In fact, I get surprised when people are surprised that the current regime or even previous one does not really respect the constitution. Remember, we have donated our mandate as Kenyans by dint of Article 1, the sovereign power and authority that vests in the people to exercise directly or indirectly through the elected representatives. I'm not shy to say that we have donated that power twice to international ICC indictees. The previous regime and this one now. But they don't. And I think when Kenyans are expecting for it, and that's why I'm not shocked when I hear for such pronouncements as, shoot them in the leg or shoot to kill, and nobody's being held accountable. By now, the Parliament really ought to have, for example, even start an impeachment motion against President William Ruto and Murkomen. And that will be leaving to the aspirations of the people of Kenya. Chair mentions about Article 104. Article 104 came from the people of Kenya. They said, when the representatives fail, can we fire them? Because elected representatives are actually employees of the people. Government is an employee of the people. Just to use a simple example, are you if today whoever works for you, or even your domestic steals from you or does something, do you still keep them in your house? The natural consequence is you'll fire them. I think the failure to actually realize the constitutional aspiration of the people of Kenya is actually in the leadership itself. I mean, we can go on and on, even talk about, for example, devolution. Money comes into the counties, and I really am happy that we are here with Prof. Kibwana. Remember, there's a time they wanted to impeach him because of his stance on the idea of constitution, which is the culture, as opposed to constitutionality, just the text of the law. And he actually came out and said, you know what, let's dissolve this county. And that's when people now woke up and say, okay, But I think the question really is, we need to go back to, for example, Article 3, which really gives all of us a duty that we must protect and uphold and respect this constitution. The political leadership for sure is failing. You've seen, for example, the recent past the pronouncements about the character of parliament, where they have actually failed in their roles as representatives of the people, oversighting government, and legislating.
Okay.
And you've heard them, for example, say that, oh, this president, he brought us this bill, housing bill,
we passed for him.
We did it for him. You did not do it for him. You did it for the people of Kenya.
All right.
And
so that brings us to the question, Charles. Just hang on. We need to go on a break. I'll begin with you on the institutional question, which is a forward-looking question, is it? So we'll be discussing that and explore it further, beginning with you after the break here. On the bench, Charles Nyachai, Dr. Ekuro Kot, and Professor Kivutha Kibwana. We're taking a break. When we come back, the conversation continues here on JKL.